Over the weekend, tens of thousands of Americans once more took to the streets to protest Donald Trump in the National Tax Day action. In major cities and small towns across the country, dozens demanded that their president be gone. Not only release his tax returns, but others, America, are even calling for impeachment. And leading the impeachment charge is progressive hero, progressive champion, someone we've interviewed here on the Fowler Show before, one of the most vocal members of Congress right now, Representative Maxine Waters, who represents Los Angeles, who appeared at a Tax Day Washington, D.C. march, and she said, I don't respect this president, I don't trust this president, he's not working in the best interest of the American people, I will fight him every day until he's impeached. And then she led the chant, impeach 45, impeach 45, impeach 45. Rich Webster.
So listen, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of impeaching Donald Trump. I think the practicality of it is just not there. I mean, so for the uninitiated, Richard, walk our listeners through what it would take to impeach someone like President Donald Trump.
Well, to impeach the President of the United States, you have to find the President did some material, usually some material evidence of illegal activity. So the House votes on said illegal activity. If he did it, they vote to start the impeachment. And then there's a trial held in the United States Senate that is presided over by the Chief Justice John Roberts. And then the Senate votes on whether or not to impeach the President of the United States. And I want to say it is a 2/3 majority that you need in both chambers, if I'm not mistaken. Don't don't quote me on that.
So this is the problem we run into. Unless, I mean, everything we've heard from Donald Trump, so the lying, the potential connection with Russia, all of these things should be enough concern that if lawmakers were remotely interested in impeaching him, Republicans would have spoken up by now, right? I mean, there is more than enough shady stuff going on here that if it was on the table, they would be talking about it, right?
All right, so here are, because you know I like to present y'all with facts, people. So
fact-based show right here.
We are not alternative news. We're not alternative facts. We're real facts. So this is how the process works. The Justice Department. There's 7 steps. 7 steps
of impeachment.
The Justice Department or an independent counsel presents to the House Judiciary Committee the findings that says that he did something illegal. Then the House Judiciary Committee reviews the evidence. They draft articles of impeachment. They debate the articles of impeachment. The entire House votes, and it is a simple majority in the House that gets you impeached. Then the Senate, I was right, holds a trial. The House Judiciary Committee acts as the prosecutor, presenting evidence against the accused. The accuser chooses his own lawyer to present the defense. The Chief Justice acts as the judge and rules on admissible evidence. The Senate acts as a jury. And a 2/3 majority of the Senate must vote to remove the person from office.
So it's a 2/3 in the Senate and only a simple majority in the House.
Right. And I don't think that I mean, unless this Russia thing
is a real thing.
Is a real thing.
With real evidence.
With real evidence, not like, oh, some of his lieutenants or high-up campaign staffers.
Right, because you can always say, oh, I didn't know what they were doing.
Right, it's like Donald Trump and Putin or Donald Trump and Julian Assange worked together to hack Hillary's emails, and there's phone calls, tapes.
Right.
Something that proves it. And then the House Republican Caucus Conference has enough balls to vote.
Which really would only happen if Donald Trump screwed them over so bad that they felt like they would be better off without him.
Or they feel as though the evidence is so damning that they'll get hurt in the next election by not impeaching.
By not impeaching. Right, now, maybe you can answer this question for me. Right, so the Justice Department, their leader is appointed by the president, the head of the executive branch. But isn't it the Justice Department's responsibility to police the executive branch?
Yes.
Isn't that kind of a conflict of interest?
So usually what happens is, in many of these cases, the Justice Department, like we've already seen Jeff Sessions recuse himself from all these Russia investigations, and so they set up an independent counsel. So if anybody remembers, was old enough to remember the Bill Clinton, we had Ken Starr. Right. And so the Attorney General appointed Ken Starr to be an independent prosecutor, right? Or, yeah, an independent counsel investigation. And they go do the investigation, and the Justice Department doesn't even see it. Like, they're blind to it. And they report to the House Judiciary. Now, my take on this is this, and I said this over and over again. I think what needs to, there's a lot of, we now know that Devin Nunes was overly influenced by the White House. He's basically admitted that, right?
He delivered documents to them like a paper boy.
So I don't think there could be a fair investigation in the House Intelligence Committee. I think, after Mark Warner's big speech that he gave about what the Senate Intelligence Committee was going to do, and I'm a Democrat, a staunch Democrat, progressive. I think that Mark Warner's speech seemed to tilt a hand of some political motivation, just a pinch, just enough for Republicans to then say, "Oh, the Senate is tainted because the ranking member is trying to get Donald Trump." So that is why I believe that there should be a select committee, 50-50, where the Democrats pick 50% of the committee, Republicans 50% of the committee, and then all the people investigating this Russia thing. So FBI, NSA, whoever the hell is investigating it, right? DSA, right? Defense, all of these people. All these investigators and all these lawyers, they report to the chairs of said select committee. Take it out of the House, take it out of the Senate, create the select committee, and let them go from the beginning to the end. Fake news, how the fake news was created, the WikiLeaks, take all of it. Just similar to the 9/11 Commission.
Right.
Give this committee all the clearances they need. If they need to be, permanently sleeping in a skiff or a secure room where they could read this data, then put them in a skiff in Nebraska somewhere and have them go through the entire thing. Because right now, there's a lack of accountability on all parts. The White House is unaccountable, and they're non-transparent. The House Intelligence Committee is clearly unaccountable and non-transparent. The Senate is the only one that seems to be a little bit above board, but just barely. So it's a mess. And then you have James Comey, the FBI director, who we already know he's messy.
He's a loose cannon. You don't even know who he's
as messy as a shut down Chinese restaurant in the middle of Brooklyn. That's how messy he is.
That's how messy he is, folks.
A mess. He's a mess.
Who is he trying to help or hurt, right?
He's just a mess. And this investigation has become mired down in muck.
Yeah.
And what Donald Trump has done is he's used the media, because he's a manipulator of the media, to I'm going to bomb Syria, so we're not talking. Now nobody's talking about Russia anymore because he's bombing Syria. He's putting, ships in North Korea. So everybody stopped focusing on Russia.
Right. This is the strategy that we see over and over from the Trump administration. When things start getting too crazy over here, they go, look over here, we just bombed something.
More reason as to why we need a select committee that doesn't report to any of these maniacs.
Although, the main point of this, right, was we're talking about the impeachment of Donald Trump. And even with a select committee in the best of circumstances, I think the odds of impeachment over the course of
are low. I think what the select committee is going to find is that there was indeed some nefarious behavior by the Russians engaging with top tier Trump associates, but no connection to Donald Trump, no connection to Mike Pence, and they're going to go on. Maybe a couple people, maybe Paul Manafort might go to jail or whatever, but it's still not going to deal with the fact that the Russians influenced this election. Now, let me be very clear. Do I think Hillary would have won if the Russians influenced? No, I think we'd have lost regardless, just looking at what we know now.
Right. Without the results of this investigation, it's hard to tell what, if any, kind of impact the meddling actually had.
Right.
Now, it's been confirmed that they were influencing the results of the election in some way. But, when they say they influenced the results, does that mean that they meddled, but it ultimately was ineffective? You don't really know that, right?
We don't know.
It could have been them. One of the things they talked about was Russians flooding America with all these fake news stories, right?
These bot sites.
And, until you start seeing percentages of, what actually happened, how were these accessed, how many people looked at them, did it actually change public opinion, which could be a many-year-long process.
And we would never know. And it doesn't. None of that negates the fact that Hillary Clinton was an atrocious candidate.
Yeah, I think the premise is Hillary was bad.